Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. Today I'm doing a special edition reading. As you know, many of you probably know, we have new moon in Gemini coming up this weekend. For most of you guys, it will be happening on Sunday, June 18th. For some, it's going to be happening on June 17th, depending on where you are in the world. It's mostly June 18th, but I did want to do this reading today, a couple of days before, just so that you have that kind of extra input and a bit of extra time to get some additional intuitive guidance for yourself on what you're supposed to uncover, what kind of intentions to set. This is a new moon, especially when it comes to choices towards love. And I know it sounds a little like a broken record because we are in Gemini season. This is new moon in Gemini, and the Gemini card in tarot is Lovers. That's the energy. And Lovers initially was more about making a choice towards love, right? And that's how we're treating it with this new moon, especially since new moon is the phase of the moon where we set intentions specifically for the next moon cycle, for this upcoming moon cycle, right? We are kind of like summarizing lessons learned from the previous one, and we are making decisions on how we want to proceed. Another side to look at it is Gemini is the twin energy, right? It's the two, the whole concept of Gemini. Gemini are twins, really, right? Again, it brings us back to the concept of twin flames. And last but not least, put that thought in your bonnet. The twin flame journey at large is about discovering, uncovering the true essence of love, the energy of love, and how to manifest it into our reality in all shapes and forms, in its highest implementation, highest possibility, right? And breaking down and swiping away those templates that have been artificially created by society, not just right now, but through decades and centuries. Because as much, and even, well, decades, centuries, millenniums, as much as we think that it's all changing and those older things are not relevant anymore because we keep upgrading that information on DNA level based on the information we get and the new experiences that we get, which is true. However, sorry for a bit of that noise. However, it's important to keep in mind that there are certain core experiences that have been with us from like almost, let's say, the beginning of time, right? When a lot of humans' activity was instinctive, right? It was a lot more animalistic and it was a lot more driven by like those rougher energies, right? Like those core energies, and those live with us till now. I was actually, those downloads came to me in a meditation as I was preparing for this. And one of the main ones was about building a trusting relationship versus keeping distance and keeping somebody away from yourself. That's the key. I think I had this covered somewhere in one of my videos about building trust in relationship. Maybe it's in my podcast. Actually, I do have podcasts, by the way, on my website. They're published on my website. You can also find them on Spotify as a playlist. So long story short, it's a very instinctive way of how we, through body language, even more so than through communicate, like through actual words, but through that as well, through body language, through actions and words, of course, how we determine whether we can trust a person or not, right? And it's so deep, it's so subconscious that a lot of times we are trying to override it with our conscious mind then, but that gut feeling is still there. And the more the dissonance grows, the more anxious we become and the more damage is done to ourselves that we need then to come back to and heal, right? It's in a very basic level where people are having energy of a certain vibration, certain feelings and emotions that we can sense and probably tell by the body language as well, even if we don't think that we know a lot about it. Our subconscious, because that knowledge has been passed down generations to come, we know that intuitively, right? We can tell if the person's feelings and intentions are very much different from what they're saying and they're doing, and we immediately react, and our body wants to react to that too. Our body actually goes first because that's that animalistic response, our mind kind of follows. Sometimes it doesn't follow, right? So going back to the reading and to this new moon energy, so this new moon to me is a lot about, and from the downloads that I was getting, is a lot about how we make those choices. Do we honor those gut feelings, those instincts that we have, that is really a gift from our ancestors, because it's the true knowledge, and do we follow that in our own right? Or do we prefer something more traditional, something that's going to be more people pleasing? Because that's also a choice in love. It's not towards love, I would say, although it may seem like that to many people. And that's another big concept here of what is a more loving choice, right? And if I'm following my truth, that's gonna sound and seem hurtful to other people or too rough on the edges for other people. Is it a loving choice, right? Like, how do you find that balance where it's your truth, it's your loving choice towards yourself, but also it doesn't hurt other people? Or if they choose to be hurt by it, you can still keep that separate from your experience. Okay, a lot of things there. There will be a few questions that I'm gonna ask for this reading. So I'll start with an oracle deck, and I've got the Beyond Lemuria deck, which I absolutely missed, and I'm definitely excited to use it for this. Then I'll have the Dreamkeeper's Tarot that I haven't really used recently, where we'll see what are the twins working towards. What kind of choice are they making during this new moon? More specifics. The next deck, the Deluxe Tarot, is going to tell us what are the twins moving away from, what kind of karmic patterns are being left behind, what have we learned, what have we healed in the last cycle, and we can move on from it now. And last but not least, is going to be how the twins finding this connection and the actions towards it as a result. So that will be more specific towards the connection. All right, and the counterpart in mind. So let's start with an oracle deck, and the first card we're gonna get is gonna be 4 Divine Feminines. It was a long spiel at the beginning, but it was important to get it out, so that was part of my truth that I'm not gonna apologize for. I remember in the earlier days, I would have people mention, like, maybe a couple of times to me that, oh, you're supposed to start with the cards right away, or start sooner, like, don't do this, don't do that. And the truth is, I wasn't really starting sooner because it took me a while to shuffle, because I usually wait for the cards to start flying out. I don't just pick the cards from the deck, I'm waiting, I'm like shuffling and waiting, shuffling and waiting. And of course, while I'm waiting, I keep talking to you guys. So that was fun. It's like, it wasn't even my intention, but yeah, as I didn't want it to be like an awkward silence, I was sharing some information that I thought was useful. But yeah, apparently for some people, they're just waiting for the cards straight off. There we go, we got a couple actually. But yeah, without any ado, let's move on to the cards. We have new blueprints in the high heart chakra. Oh my god, ecstatic bliss. Oh my god. Isn't that the new moon in Gemini at its best? You have the new blueprint and the high heart chakra. The high heart chakra is located in this area. So if you have the heart chakra about here, high heart chakra would be located right above it. There is a sigil here that you can work with. If you can see it, if you know what it is, you'll know. So yeah, if you choose to do a ritual with the sigil, you can do that. In this deck, the author is suggesting to kind of like draw this symbol that I was just showing you, draw that symbol in the air 3 times, right? And obviously, like, it's also about intention and like working with your conscious mind to kind of imagine. In the case of this chakra, because its color is bright pink, like imagine that, first of all, activation in that chakra area, and also that pink light and energy that's showering you from above, right? That would be your ritual for the high heart chakra. The new blueprints I'm actually gonna read. Let's see. I'll read the divinatory meaning. I call it the divinatory. I think new blueprints kind of is straightforward, right? Like the general concept. But let's see what they wanted to tell us in terms of the divinatory meaning. This card inspires action, no matter how small, that will create a ripple of light in the world. You are part of a bigger picture, a greater story, and your actions, your choices, your presence are making difference. You have more power than you realize. Focus on what you can do and do it well. Change takes time, so make plans and start now. Remember, we actually got that the other day about baby steps, and where I was saying that the message for the feminine was self-care and not rushing yourself too much, but taking baby steps. And that's actually my philosophy these days, because I've been feeling overwhelmed. I think partly because of the cosmic energies, partly because of what I personally have been going through in my life. You know, all the like active travel in the last actually 3 months, and just immense amount of travel, and going back to New York and settling in again, running countless errands, and there's still a lot of stuff on my to-do list that I need to do as I'm back home. So yeah, it's been so overwhelming, and like, you know, a person like myself, I keep pushing myself still. I'm out of that corporate mindset, but I'm still pushing myself towards like doing more, you know, being better, being faster, and just go mode, which is good to a certain extent because it keeps me efficient a lot of times. But a lot of times it just puts me into more anxiety and procrastination because I still feel like it's too much. So it's very important during this time, just as a reminder, to not put too much pressure on yourself, but still keep the momentum going and keep that movement. Those actions, that progress is going to set you up. First of all, that's you during this Gemini season. It's you telling the universe that you're ready for that new direction, new choice, and that actually goes along with some other planetary movements. I spoke about that. If you're following me for my daily reads, I think I spoke about it a bit, like maybe like a week ago. And what's also important is that we have the North Node switch in July, on July 17th. So it's gonna switch from Taurus into Aries, which again is gonna intensify this energy of taking action, speaking up for what you believe is right. So like this work that you're doing with these baby steps is a great grounding work to prepare yourself for that energy. Otherwise, it's gonna cause tower moments. It's gonna swipe you off your feet, but not in a good way, you know? Like it's gonna be just too much. It's gonna be just like a tsunami in your life, right? So this is an important setup for that time, and it's gonna be around for a good like 18 months. So it's not like, oh yeah, it's gonna pass. No, it's gonna stay for a while. The card for Divine Masculines, please. For those wondering about my Yankees t-shirt, If you don't know, I am a baseball fan. I haven't been doing as much following in the last couple of years, especially this season, just because of all the travel. But because I'm based in New York, Yankees is not my team number one, but it's my team number two. So I do have a lot of respect and admiration for players. I love going to the stadium. So yeah, this is one of my go-to shirts if I'm watching a game, but it's actually really hard to watch a game of New York Yankees in New York. But if I'm going to the stadium, definitely this is the shirt. Okay, for masculines we have unique gifts, and it's card number 55, by the way. This is like master number for the shifts and change. And unique gifts are gonna be key in this change for the masculines. I like that alien picture here, actually. Let's see. Let's read the message. What makes you unique? Any quirks that you feel are shortcomings could be the key to your superpowers. Look for the positive sides of your oddities and traits. How would you like to spend more time? Are there things you would like to try or feel a pull to explore? Now is the time to follow these whispers. You never know how transformational they may be. Beautiful. Yeah, and the key words here are superpowers, a sense of purpose, the meaning behind your quirks, exploring your interests, shortcomings as unique undiscovered skills. For summer, it might be useful to check out your Chiron placement in your natal chart, because that also will give you an important input into the area or the theme, depending on which house it's in, which sign it's in, where that wound, like the big wound, is located. What is it about? What's the theme? What's the topic? So that may prompt you also, like that, but that's of course the deeper way to do it. So you can approach it from like interest and more light-hearted energy of like hobbies, passions, creative stuff. Like what are you feeling like doing, right? What are you driven towards? Start there. Or another side is, what are your wounds about, right? What is bothering you right now? Or where's your Chiron, for example, right? And maybe you can take some steps to understanding what that part of the journey is about and how you can turn that around, that experience. Okay, let's get back to tarot. So the first question is, what are the twins choosing? What are their options? What are they leaning towards? What are they choosing during this new moon in Gemini? Let's start with feminines. The Chariot, which is actually the Cancer energy. The Cancer season is coming up. So I'm getting it's like the feminines are accelerating their progress, they're speeding up, accelerating. The moon, the other card is the moon. Look at this, two major arcanas, number 7 and number 18. Yeah, so the feminines are moving towards, with the help of the divine intervention, are moving towards something bigger and better, in a nutshell, right? So it's an intuitive guidance towards more of a divine space, towards more exploration of psychic gifts and twin flame purpose, right? How those, we're just talking about choices in love and templates of love. It's like that, exploring that connection between manifestation of love in the physical, daily life, marriage, family, budget, things that are more tangible, more 3D, and connection between those and the higher energies and the ethers, and what it entails for twin flames, specifically like telepathic communication, like that whole idea that the twins actually arrive from the same soul, the same higher self, etc., etc. The intersection of like feminine and masculine energy, right? How that's exercised. So those kind of topics. But there is an urge with this new moon to move faster in that direction. It's like, and because these are major arcanas, both of them, the universe is helping you. So keep your eyes open, divine feminines. You'll be shown the way. It's almost like you'll see the shortcut, or you'll see like that maybe there are two options and they have the same distance, the same length, but because the surface is different, one is going to be much faster than the other, but your both ways are taking you like to that point where you want to be, right? But you'll see a shorter way and it'll be like you'll slide right there. Okay, what do we have for masculines? Already at 20 minutes. I'll try to move a little faster. Okay, we have King of Swords, Seven of Swords. Yeah, so it's almost Eight of Swords, but I'm not sure that it's better. So masculines are moving towards discerning the truth and the logical path, what makes sense, right? The tangible, the feasible, from like all the chaos and sabotaging thoughts and ideas, right? Like discerning those healthy parts of it, right? Because if you take the equivalent of the swords, like the symbolism, right, as thoughts, right? Not all swords are bad, right? And if you even think about the meaning of a sword, sometimes it's super important in battle, sometimes it's symbolically important, maybe if you have knighthood title, right? So it's just about how you use that weapon, that tool. And masculines are moving more towards that honest representation and things that make sense, right? Things that kind of like develop or unwrap smoothly, rather than just a lot of action without much meaning, without having a clear goal with that thought process or action. Okay, the next question is, what are the twins walking away from? What kind of karmic experiences? Let's see what we have for the feminines. Okay, it's a lot of cards, but I'll take them. Sorry about that, guys. So we have also Seven of Swords, but in reverse. We have Four of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and Judgment. Yeah, so what I'm getting is divine feminine is moving from judging their previous experiences too hard, like where I didn't respond to someone giving me love, or where I didn't take my instinct seriously. I was just talking about that, about some danger coming in, or some sort of a lie, or some sort of deceit, right? Or a lot of times I disregarded the guidance from the divine, right? Or divine timing, right? And I just wanted to push things through the way I wanted them to go, right? Like these karmic situations are a lot of times, or a lot about divine feminines actually driving them that way, into that direction. And now there is that enlightenment with the Judgment card here, that that was not right. That was not a loving choice, right? Again, speaking of choices in love, that's why we need to move away from it. But also need to move away from punishing yourself for it, or judging yourself too hard, right? Like trying to see the light in the Judgment card and not being judgmental towards yourself, because it's not helping anyone. Let's see what we have for the masculines. What are the masculines walking away from? Okay, I got Ace of Cups, something else, Two of Swords in reverse, and Two of Wands in reverse. Okay, two twos. So divine masculines are walking away from the idea that they always have to make a choice, and it has to be the right choice right away, right? It's showing up with more self-love and letting yourself take time, sleep on it, or maybe not wanting to make a decision at all, right? If something is not relevant to them, they shouldn't be forced to make a decision. It's very much a masculine energy pressure to constantly be making decisions in life, right? But it doesn't really mean that they have to, that's correct, you know, and energy-wise, it's not a balanced solution. So they're walking away from that imbalance, bringing in more of unconditional love. And last but not least, so what is coming up for the connection, in the connection for the twins, right? How are they moving, how are they seeing connection as a result of this new moon experience? Let's put it that way. How are they seeing this connection as a result of this new moon in Gemini experience? Because it's, I can tell it's quite transformational, and I'm not surprised because of the whole Gemini and twin energy. Okay, we have Two of Pentacles and Strength in reverse. So, for the feminines, they see that a lot of things that they thought were strengths before, they're actually fed from ego, from self-ego, or from the counterparts' ego, right? And it's almost like it didn't feel right even when that kind of strength was chosen. I still felt like it was harder than it's supposed to be, right? So now these cards are in reverse, so divine feminines are putting that aside, and for them the big deal is seeing that new level of pure and unconditional love in the connection. So they will have eyes to see that in small things, in things that don't necessarily that aren't necessarily associated with love, right? But they will be seeing it everywhere from their counterpart, maybe playing back certain things and then thinking, oh, but they did this and that, of course they have feelings for me, or of course this is serious. What do we have for the masculines? Okay, we have Nine of Pentacles and Eight of Wands. Yeah, so my immediate thought was this, ooh, they're seeing divine feminines here. And that makes sense, right? Because we are talking about the connection and what is the outcome from this new moon. But I'm getting that it's bigger than that. It is divine feminine, but it's more like they're seeing that they can do what divine feminine is doing in their own right, like creating her own happiness, their own happiness. Take gender how it resonates for you, right? Like they're seeing them being on top of the world or doing their best, or like living their best life, and they're like, oh, I can do that too. And it's very specific, like in specific areas they're like, yes, I'm sure I can do that, I can pull it off, right? It's that confidence and almost like self-communication on like, yeah, I can do this, self-dialogue or inner dialogue. That's very, very important in terms of pursuing dreams and ascending to the next level overall. Seeing this, when you admire someone and then seeing that beauty in yourself, it's actually not that easy. And yeah, great job, divine masculines. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here, guys, because it's getting very long. I hope this has been good for you. Let me know in the comments, like the video, share and subscribe. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best with this new moon, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon. Bye, guys.